Hi, welcome back. Throughout today's and tomorrow's bonus example videos, you will learn how to build this app. This is a file compressor. So first I'll demonstrate you what this app does, and then we go ahead and build it in this video. So today in this video, we will build the graphical user interface, and then tomorrow we will implement all the functionalities of the app. So this is a complete version of the app, and the way it works is this. So here we have these two buttons. The first button is used to select the files that the user needs to compress. So for example, if I press on choose and then I go to a folder, I select one file or multiple files pressing the by holding the shift button pressed. For example, I selected 3 text files, I press on open, and the paths of those files are reflected in here automatically. So these are absolute file paths. And then this other button allows me to select the directory where the zip file is going to be created. So that can be any directory, so I'm just choosing this one. Choose, and the path of the directory is also reflected in here. And then if I press compress, I'm going to get this message that the compression was successful, and then I go to the destination folder, my files, and that's the zip file that was created. So if I extract it, I'm going to see a folder with all those 3 files inside. So that's how this app works. Let's go ahead and build it now. I'm going to create a new bonus 16.py file in the bonus folder. And then import py symbol GUI. So you saw from the output that in the first row we had an sg.text object, so it was a label, and we create labels using that text type to create text instances, label instances, whatever you call them. So that was select files to compress. And then we had an input widget, sg.input. Then we had that choose button on the side. So far we have select files to compress, that label, this input box, and this choose button. Now the button let's call this choose button 1 because we have 2 buttons, one here and one here, so this will be number 1. And the button is not a generic button, so you don't want to use sg.button, you want to use files browse and then write the label of the button. In our case it is choose. So this is a special button because it's already programmed to select files. In the other button we built today for our to-do app, the button can take different roles depending on what we write. So afterwards we're going to program that button to do specific things. But this button is a special case of a button. It does one thing only, and that is to allow the user to select files on their file system. So as you saw in the demonstration, this is what this does. So it allows the user to select files. Right, let's go ahead and create some other widgets. The second line. I'm just going to copy these because the second line is mostly the same, and change label 1 to label 2. And then here select destination folder, and this will be input 2. It's still an input text box, so that one in here, this, and then the choose button this time is not file browse, is another specialized button. It's called folder browse. So this will be choose button 2. And we're going to keep the same label for that as well. And that's what we have for now. So let's go ahead and create the window object now, which is equal to sg.window. We want to give a name to the window, such as file compressor, and then we want to give the layout argument, which is going to be a list of lists. The first list is the first row, so it's that first row, which contains label 1, input 1, and choose button 1. So those 3 items. Label 1, comma, input 1, comma, choose button 1. That's it. So that's the first list. A comma after the list. It's a good idea to split this into a different line because this line is getting too long. And also in here after the comma, so we write one list, after the comma we split it again, and this here will be the second list. So that's the first list, comma, second list. And this is the main outer list, these outer brackets. Right, the second list is label 2, comma, input 2, comma, choose button 2. That's it. Then we want to read the window, and then we want to close the window. So now it's time to run this program. And yeah, that's the output. The theme is different, and so later we will work on the theme and the size. For now, let's ignore those aspects and focus on building the widgets. So we have a label widget, an input widget, and a button widget. If I choose some files now, for example, I press the Shift key and hold it, choose multiple files, press on open, those files are automatically reflected in this input box here. The same goes for destination folder. I can go to some other folder, choose a destination folder, press enter, and that's the path of the destination folder as well. And before we close the video, let's also add that compress button. So that's going to be a normal button using the button type, compress. So I can add that as a separate list here. Compress button. So we have the first row, a comma, the second row, a comma, and the third row. So I'll run this, and that's the final layout of our program. So tomorrow we're going to make this program alive so that when the user presses that button, the selected files are going to be extracted in the selected directory here. So see you tomorrow. Thanks.